In prior videos, I've discussed time slips in cases where a person was sighted in two places at the same time. But there is another phenomenon in which a person seems to disappear from a location for a period of time, only to reappear sometime later. Often the people who have vanished have no idea they were even gone. One such occurrence was reported in 1968 in a letter to the Manchester Evening News. The author described camping with his family in the upper reaches of the River Wharfe, North Yorkshire, when his wife suddenly vanished. I will never forget one such occasion when we had climbed up over the moors. The children were playing around while my wife and I rested among the heather, basking in the sunshine. Whether I dozed off or not, I do not know, but suddenly I became aware that my wife was not with us. I called the children and asked them where she had gone, but they could not tell me anything. The author claims that he and his children frantically searched the area, but could not find her. There was nowhere on the moors where she could have hidden, and I began to get panicky. We began to get really worried. And even Patty, our dog, who always accompanied us on our outings, started to whimper and appeared very distressed. Suddenly, apparently from nowhere, my wife was with us again, and there was a faraway smile on her face. We questioned her as to where she had been, but she could offer no explanation, and had no recollection of having been away from us at all. There is no doubt in my mind that something very odd had happened. In July 1966, a 4-year-old girl named Dawn Chester disappeared in a similar way from her bed at her home in Chatham, Kent. Having gone in to check on her, the family was shocked to discover that she was not in her bed. They tore the house apart, stripping the beds, pulling out the drawers, checking closets and cupboards, but there was no sign of her. Even stranger, the windows and doors were still locked. Neighbors were contacted and they helped check the house with little luck. Having searched everywhere, Mr. Chester concluded that he needed to contact the police. Just before he put the call through, he heard a voice in his right ear. It spoke only 4 words. "We have returned her." With wife and neighbors in tow, he returned to the bedroom and found her sitting on the bed, rubbing her eyes. She was unaware of the fact that she had been missing. When asked about the incident some 15 years later, the young lady claims that she remembered nothing of what had happened except going to sleep and waking up to a lot of people making a fuss. Easter 1976. A wealthy family, which included a husband, wife, young daughter, and a nanny, had just arrived at the Barcelona airport. They stood talking for a few minutes, and the father left to go get tickets. When he returned some time later, he noticed that the nanny and his daughter were gone. He asked his wife about their whereabouts, and, although unsure, she assured him that the nanny must have taken her to use the bathroom. They waited for their return. Minutes soon turned into hours. The couple began to realize that something was definitely wrong, and they notified airport security. A frenzied search of the entire airport ensued, but the nanny and the daughter could not be found. The mother became panicked, fearing the worst. Just then, according to the mother, a strange old lady walked up to her and told her to pray. She then disappeared into the crowd of people. At almost that exact moment, the mother looked over to see the nanny sitting beside her, her daughter perched on her lap. The mother was shocked as she had not noticed them come out of the crowd. To her, it was as if they just appeared there. Of course, the husband, wife, and the security were desperate to find out where they had been. The nanny was surprised by the reaction of those around her. When quizzed about their abrupt disappearance, the nanny swore that she and the little girl had not moved from where they were sitting. She was completely unaware that hours had passed. If things couldn't get any weirder, when the father attempted to hold his daughter, he discovered the child was physically stuck to the nanny, as if she had been glued to her. The father had to literally pull his daughter off the nanny with great force, and he noticed that his daughter's skin was changing to a strange color as their skin became disengaged. Though deeply disturbed, the family decided to put the bizarre incident behind them and carry on with their holiday plans. They eventually boarded a plane that would take them to their destination. Halfway through the flight, the nanny, who was in generally good health, suddenly became hysterical and actually had to be restrained. The family, deciding something was seriously wrong, elected to cancel the trip. They returned home. The nanny eventually had to be hospitalized. Dr. Francisco Rovati became involved with the case, having learned of the strange disappearance through the family. The family and the doctor were desperate to find out what had transpired in that period of time when the nanny and the child went missing. Upon hypnotizing the nanny, it was revealed that she had heard a, quote, unpleasant-sounding male voice, unquote, beckoning to her as she sat with the child at the airport. Then she observed a light. This is where her memories hit a wall. Every time Rovati tried to get her to go beyond this point, to recall what happened after the voice called to her and the light, she would become absolutely hysterical. Dr. Rovati noticed that the nanny had a type of block that seemed to manifest at the moment she recalled seeing a red light on the floor. The events that took place after seeing that red light apparently terrified her. The prospect of finding out the truth was too much for the nanny to handle, and ultimately all parties involved agreed to simply leave it be.